amount of judgment that we do nowadays with liking posts, not liking posts, swiping right, swiping left, can be very negative on our psyche. And why this is because we're programming our mind to constantly judge our environment and judge what's going on internally, like emotions. Taking another path can be very beneficial. And the best way to demonstrate another path is by telling the story of the Chinese farmer. The Chinese farmer, of course, lived on a farm, and he had 5 horses and 1 son. One day, those 5 horses ran away, and the Chinese farmer's neighbor came over to console him and said, "My goodness, what misfortune you have. I feel so sorry for you." And the Chinese farmer says, "Meh, what is good, what is bad?" The next week, the 5 horses come back, and not only do they come back, they bring back 5 additional wild horses. Again, the neighbor comes over and says, "My goodness, what great fortune you have. You've now doubled the amount of wealth that you have." And the Chinese farmer says, "What is good, what is bad?" A couple days later, the Chinese farmer's son is breaking the wild horses, and he falls off one because it bucks him so hard and breaks his leg. The neighbor hears, comes over, and again starts consoling his neighbor and says, "My goodness, what misfortune. I feel so sorry for you. We're getting much older and we're relying on our sons more and more. And now that he's out for at least a year, I don't know what you're going to do when the winter comes." And the Chinese farmer says, "What is good? What is bad?" About a month later, the army comes to town recruiting young able bodies. They come over to the neighbor's house, recruit his son, and then come over to the Chinese farmer's house, take one look at his son in bed with his broken leg, and say, "Meh, we don't have much use for him," and they keep on moving on. The neighbor comes over, and you know the story. He says, "What great fortune you have. Your son is saved while mine is sentenced to certain death because we know that we can't win that war. You are so fortunate. I feel so good for you." And the Chinese farmer says, "What is good? What is bad?" Now, in this story, the Chinese farmer isn't taken on the roller coaster of life through these ups and these downs. Instead, he just keeps kind of a baseline and doesn't react or judge every situation that comes into his life. There is actually a meditation retreat that's taught all around the world called Vipassana, and that is kind of their main theme or the main technique that they're trying to get across when they teach this 10-day silent meditation retreat. It's not to react to any emotion or sensation in the body that come up, but just keep that baseline going. So next time that you're on social media, liking, not liking, swiping right or swiping left, be conscious that you might be programming your mind to be reactive or judgmental.